It's 1987, and let's say, hypothetically speaking, you owned your own football team. But you couldn't care less about football. All you care about is the money, that cold green paper. But you're restricted by not only bureaucracy, but the added bureaucracy that comes with communism, adding more time and expenses, because supposedly everything has to be divided equally through the state. Now we don't want that, do we? Of course not. So you decide to do it another way. A better way. Step 1. Set up a legal foundation of joint ventures. Joint ventures are basically when two different business entities decide to cooperate together towards the same goal. So Dynamo Kiev, the football club you now own, puts up part of the money and a Western firm puts up the rest, therefore making the profit from these projects tax-free, because in theory, Dynamo Kiev are a sports club, and so the money starts raining in. The main joint venture, Dynamo Atlantic, made a profit of 1.5 to 2.5 million a month. All this during a time that Ukraine had one of the worst economies in Europe. This made it evident that the club could be successful without even playing football. The football was merely a technicality. Step 2. You gotta expand and protect what you've built, right? In comes the Mafia.
You cannot play poker with a gangster without having some cards up one's sleeve.
There was no single big mafia in the old USSR, but several thousand small ones. When the USSR was responsible for everything, the mafia made money by producing legal things illegally. For instance, the Odessa mafia bought cotton in Turkey and produced with it jeans in state factories by paying the factory workers to do overtime. The early mafia were often sportsmen, because the first stage of mafia activity is racketeering or extortion, which is ultimately demanding money from private businesses with threats. And for that you need strong men, who are more often than not sportsmen. A racketeering example would be the broken window fallacy. And the fallacy goes as follows. A local shopkeeper's windows have been getting destroyed constantly, so he's had to get $100 insurance, which is of less cost. But you give him an even better offer, $75 for all the problems to go away. He of course accepts, not knowing you were the reason for the broken windows in the first place. But now it's 1989 and communism falls. A sigh of relief. Why? Not because the system that clearly never worked, causing economic catastrophe and resulting in the deaths of millions was uplifted, but because within every crisis lies opportunity. The opportunity in this instance being the loopholes that came in the law as Ukraine was transitioning from communism all the way up until 1991, making the laundering of money easy, this being of benefit to you and your partners in the Mafia. During this period, Dynamo Kiev had a protected driver, a transporter if you will.
So you heard him, Patan. Now you get these boxes out of sight.
Who started off at Odessa taking 600,000 to Kiev and then 2 million from Kiev to Berlin, all in cash, because transferring money to foreign banks requires the payment of tax, the number one enemy. Now you being a football fan might be starting to think to yourself, with all that money, why isn't Dynamo Kiev the best team in the world? A club that was richer than its own government at the time could easily afford the best players and therefore compete against the best teams. But there's one big problem: marketing. As a club in an impoverished country, it's a bad look to be paying millions to players, yet the government can't build schools and people are living paycheck to paycheck. Plus, investing in the team is risky. It doesn't guarantee success the way production does. Now that we've pushed that thought to the side, think of the team as another source of income, selling players that you produce to bigger European teams like Juventus, for profit that's needed to bribe officials, buy protection, and put up money for more joint ventures. Finally, the last step. You get paid to do nothing. Yes, nothing at all. How, you may ask? Well, you've built this large network with Western businesses, and your brand is now well known. So, the new joint ventures you advertise don't have to be real. Foreign companies put in all the capital. Why would those idiots do that? Well, because if a project is a joint venture, there's no tax, as previously mentioned, and Dynamo's name helps in the Ukrainian market. So basically, you, the person running Dynamo Kiev, put money up in theory, but in actuality, the rich Western firms put in all the money, and you just charge them less than the outlandish 55% profit tax that they would have to pay to the communist government. So instead, you just charge them, say, 40% on their profits, and let's just call that the cost of doing business. Now the money is really raining in, at no cost to you, which makes it even better. All you have to do is sit and watch. And with all this money, you can expand even further, exponential growth. So you get a license to export nuclear missile parts, 2 tons of gold per annum, and metals including platinum. How? Bribery, of course. And if you publicly give the government $1 million as a present to the nation, the government might be encouraged to give you a license to export goods worth far more than that. Endangering the world and causing inflation because of all the gold exportation is no stress to you. You'll be chilling in your palace, swimming in probably billions by now. But this was all a shame in the football sense, because Dynamo were one of the first teams in the world to implement science, from recruiting to training and game analysis. For recruiting and selection, computer tests were run, and these same tests produced a baffling choice of the 20-man Soviet squad, which ultimately made it to the 1988 European Championship final right before the fall of communism. Thank you for watching the video. Click the thumbs up if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more videos like this.